I said, God does not see sin. What does he see? Righteousness. God does not see sin. What does he see? Righteousness. So we were born in sin. Imputation says, when I believe what Jesus did on the cross, we have now transferred our sin to Jesus, and Jesus given his righteousness to us. Give God a hand. God praise these young ladies right here. Thank you right now. So what are we saying here? So now, that's the whole heart of imputation. Our challenge is we think every time we sin, that makes us a sinner. Our sin nature got changed when we got saved. Come on, give God a hand out, praise that. When we got saved, our sin nature. So what are we saying here? So you have on your outline, go back to your outline really quickly here. You turn to your outline, the I was simply imputation. The M, you can just write this down here, is making our account balance zero and absolving us from all guilt before God. Jesus' death, his resurrection, our belief in him. Now, the I you have in your outline that says imputation, the I is simply imputation. We've already talked about charging one's account. The M we talked about last week, it is now making our account balance zero. And then absolving us from all guilt before God. That was from last week, Romans chapter 5, John chapter 4, verse 25, Amplified Classic. So our account balance is now zero. How many have ever had an experience like that? Heard about people that were in a whole lot of debt? Anybody heard about me? All right. Or really like this. Now, as a result, what could happen? But Jesus paid our sin debt. This deserves a hand clap of praise for paying our sin debt. He paid our sin debt. Now, what does it mean? He paid it in full. His blood paid to the Father by the blood of his life, signed by Jesus Christ for the sins of the world. Please read this with me, please. He came to pay a debt he did not owe. Because we owed a debt we could not pay. That is just beautiful right there. That's imputation. He came to pay a debt. He didn't even owe the debt. Imagine right now if somebody come up to you and saying, I don't even know who you are, but I'm going to pay off all your debt. Whatever you have, I'm going to pay off all your debt. Now, would you go back and get him more debt? No. Well, most of us will not get him more debt because we're just so happy to be out of debt. Jesus came to pay a debt he did not owe because we owed a debt that we could not pay. So imputation. So our sins are now credited or imputed where? Jesus. To Jesus. And what's imputed onto us right now? Right? So when God looks at us, when we are believers, when we confess with our mouth that Jesus Christ and believe that he's our Lord, when God sees us, what does he see now? Sin? Shortcomings? Liar? Cheater? What does he see? Somebody give God a hand, have a praise that God only sees. Now here's the point. Now righteous people can still sin. Now let me put it another way. When we got saved, here's the thing. We are a what? We are a spirit. We possess a what? Soul. We live in a body. We are a what? Spirit. We possess a what? Soul. We live in a. When we got saved, did the body get saved? No, body just go down as always been. When we got saved, did the spirit get transformed? Yes. When we got saved, so the spirit is how we communicate with God, spirit to spirit. Those that worship him in John 4, worship him in spirit and in truth. Now, our soul, what's our soul? Think about kitty cat again. What's our soul? Our soul is what? Our mind, keep going, emotion, keep going, opinion, and will. Meow. Say it again. It's my what? Mind, emotions, O, opinions, W. One more time, everybody together. The M is what? Mind, E, emotions, O, opinions, W, will. When we got saved, our spirit got transformed immediately. Our body did not get saved and transformed. Here's the question. Did our soul get transformed as soon as we got saved? No. The same mind somebody had before they got saved, they got the same mind after they got saved. The most important thing somebody not saved can do is to get saved. And the most important thing somebody who is saved can do is to renew our mind. So when I start renewing my mind, believing the word, trusting God, renewing my mind, my spirit already believes God. But my mind has to be retrained. My mind has to be renewed. My mind has to be restored. So when my mind is in agreement with my spirit, we pull the flesh along. That's because we got saved, and that's why people are saying when they got saved, they don't see anything different. That's exactly right, because our spirit got transformed, but our mind is transformed, Romans 12, 1 and 2, by the renewing of our minds. So this idea, so when God looks at us now, he sees what again? He sees what? Righteousness. Can a righteous person sin? Does a righteous person have a sin nature? Listen to me now. Can a righteous person sin? Does a righteous person have a sin nature? So it is unnatural for a righteous person to sin. Because it goes against their nature. It goes against who they are. It goes against what they now are in the Lord. So now what ought to come from a righteous nature ought to be righteousness. Now let's keep going. Read this with me from Romans 8, verse 10, Amplified Classic, please. But if Christ lives in you, then although your natural body is dead by reason of sin and guilt, the spirit is alive because of the righteousness that he imputes to you. What got imputed to us? And what does righteousness mean? It means what? It was what? Charged to what? Our account. So righteousness is now on our account. Where's our sin? Where's our sin? On Jesus' account. Amen. So I need you to write this verse down right here. 2 Corinthians 5:21. This becomes a verse because I'm telling you, there are going to be times when we have sinned and we think because we sinned that we are sinners. When we got saved, our nature changed. When we got saved, our nature changed. Say that with me. When I got saved, my nature changed. Say it one more time. When I got saved, my nature changed. One more time. When I got saved, my nature changed. Look what it says here. God made him. Who is him? Jesus. To be what? Sin for the world. So that what? That people might be what? Made the what? Righteousness. Look what happens. God made Jesus to be sin for us, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. When God looks at us, he's not mad, he's not disappointed, he's not angry, he's not furious. When he looks at us, all he sees now, when we have believed Jesus, all he sees is righteousness because our sins have been imputed and transferred unto somebody ought to give God a hand clap. Our sins have been imputed unto Jesus. So he does not look at us in all our sin right now. All he sees on our account is the righteousness of God. So this is what happens right here. So let me ask, Adam, what did Adam do? Yeah, he ate the fruit. How come Eve didn't get put in trouble? All right. Who ate the fruit first? Eve. Who got in trouble? Why did Adam, if Eve ate first, why did Adam get in trouble? Because God told Adam, don't you eat. So even though Eve ate first, God gave the instruction to Adam. And Adam tried to blame Eve for him being disobedient. And tried to blame God for him not making a better woman for him. Instead of saying, no, at this point, God gave Adam the instructions. Now look what happened. So because of Adam, what was imputed because of Adam? What was imputed or transferred to us? Sin. As a result, it was transferred to all mankind to now lead to condemnation and death. What did people do to become sinners? Born And as a result, sin was transferred onto our account, onto our ledger, onto our balance sheet. Now look at that, Jesus Christ. Now as a result of, now what did Jesus do? He imputed what unto us? Righteousness. And as a result, for those who will believe, we are justified and now have eternal life. What did we do to become righteous? Born again. What did we do to become sinners? Born. What did we do to become righteous? Born again. So everybody who is now a believer can say, I am the righteousness of God. I don't care what you have done. I don't care where you've been. I don't care what you have seen. At that point, we are the righteousness of God. It is not based on my behavior. It's based on believing what Jesus did. Say it with me. It's not based on my behavior. My righteousness is based on my belief. My righteousness, say it again, my righteousness is not based on my behavior. My righteousness is based on my belief. Please give God one more hand clap of praise right there in the name of Jesus. So our sins were credited to Jesus and his righteousness credited to us. Now here's what happens. Even when we had up here, when we had God and man and Jesus and everybody wanted to be God. So when they were up here, can a righteous person still sin? Yes, they can. The nature is that of holiness and righteousness, but we can still sin. So what's the whole point? So the Old Testament, people are trying to do things to get right with God. Do things to get right with God. Sacrificing animals and sacrifice. We are right with God now, not based on behavior, but based on belief. So here's the question I have for you. So because you are now the righteousness of God, if you sin, is there a consequence? You're the righteousness of God. And this is not, when God sees you, what does he see? Righteousness. So if you sin, and since you are now righteous, is there a consequence? When you are now what? Righteous. Can a righteous person sin? Are there consequences to sin? Every time. Read this with me, please. You are free to choose, but you are not free from the consequences of your choice. Read this with me right here. If Jesus paid the price for our sin, why do we still suffer the consequences of sin? Right? Look right now. Read this, please. Everybody read this together. You are free to make your own choices. You can make whatever choice you want to make. Keep going. But you are not free to choose the consequences. So a righteous person can sin, but there are some consequences that come with that sin. You can't go through here and go up here to Zaxby's or to Chick-fil-A and go back in here and they give you food. You walk out of there and without paying and say, oh, I'm the righteousness of God. There are going to be some consequences, and we're going to be just watching you do some time. And there are some consequences. Sin does not change my relationship with God, but it certainly does have some consequences that can change my fellowship with people. Listen to me. Sin is not, God has taken care of my sin. But there are always consequences to our action. How many in here drive? Let me see if you drive. Raise your hand if you drive. All right. If you drive, if the speed limit says 35 and you go 85, what do you think is going to happen? We will be coming doing a prison ministry with you out here because you can't go back and tell the policeman, I just left church, I'm the righteousness of God. No, you're going to be righteous right up in that jail cell. The idea was there are consequences to sin. But when I realize I'm righteous and believe I'm righteous, eventually I'm going to behave like I'm righteous. Everybody's trying to do behavior modification, putting folk in time out and doing all this. You can't change behavior until you change belief. Come on, you can't change behavior until you change belief. You cannot change behavior until you change belief. When I start believing I'm righteous, I'm going to act righteous. You can do all the behavior during our camp. We had all those kids in the camp. We put one kid who was just tearing up everything.